2335. We are again on Interstate 40. This section here is in Gray County. Milepost 115, that would be about 4 miles east of 485323, where the WIM installation is currently located. You can see looking back where the AVC installation has been made adjacent to this site. Obviously there are no traffic generators between it and our installation here. That's the back of mile marker 115. It's the Leaning Tower of Groom. You can see where the material sampling and field testing had been done here. All of these signs and markings are in order. All the delineators are present. I'll go ahead and walk through the section. There is still a fair amount of cracking here at this site, not quite as much as what we saw earlier this morning. We do have still a few locations with beginnings of small punch outs here and there. Some a little bit larger than others. But for the most part, the cracking and crack spacing are quite a bit less here than what we had seen earlier in the day. Here's a pretty good sized punch out here. A couple of them actually. Separated by that transverse crack there. Another punch out here. If I recall correctly, most of the punch outs did occur here in the first 100 feet. Again, these punch outs have not really been pushed down into the base or sub-base yet. They're merely outlined by all the cracks, and will soon be generating some problems for these test sections. We do have, in a few places, some fairly close crack spacing. Beginnings of a punch out there. There's Station 1. You can see that the crack spacing is a little bit more regular on this particular test section. A few less diagonal cracks and so forth, but here's a construction joint. About Station 1 plus 40 or 45. There's still a few wild cracks in here, but for the most part they're fairly perpendicular to the center line, as one would hope for, and pretty regularly spaced about 3 to 4 feet apart. Every once in a while you get a couple pretty close like that. Just past Station 2. You can see we really don't have the punch outs occurring anymore. The cracks, transverse cracks, are really not close enough together to generate a lot of the likelihood of punch outs developing. Station 3. Again, because of the tied concrete shoulders, you really don't see any significant punch-out development, even in the areas where crack spacing is relatively close. This section does appear to be holding up quite well. As I'd mentioned earlier, on the other CRC section we looked at first glance one would think this section is really in pretty good shape. You really don't notice the amount of cracking until one sits down and tries to account for all of the cracks that exist on the section. This is Interstate 40 in Gray County, mile marker 115. We're about 45 minutes east of Amarillo, and I'm looking now towards the east, towards Shamrock, Texas, which is about 45 miles east of here. Looking around, you can see this is mostly farmland. Station 5, looking back to the west towards Amarillo. Again, you can see the Leaning Tower of Groom there. Our traffic monitoring installation. And that concludes the video for this section 485335 here on Interstate 40 in Gray County. Again, we are on Interstate